Have you ever felt completely emotionally drained? Like life just keeps throwing punches and you're too tired to fight back? You know you're capable of more. You've felt that strength before, but somehow lately it feels just out of reach, clouded by stress, setbacks, or constant self-doubt. What if I told you that the key to emotional strength isn't about being tougher or trying harder? It's about learning how to master your inner world quietly, steadily, and powerfully. In today's episode, we're going to explore 10 powerful habits that will help you become emotionally stronger, not by avoiding pain, but by learning how to face it with resilience, clarity, and wisdom. These habits are rooted in Stoic philosophy, a timeless framework that teaches us how to navigate life with balance and inner strength. The Stoics, great minds like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, believe that true strength doesn't come from controlling the world around us. It comes from learning to control the world within us. It's not about chasing happiness or avoiding discomfort. It's about how you respond to the chaos. What if you could wake up each morning with a sense of calm purpose? What if you could face difficult people or uncertain outcomes with steady resolve? What if, no matter what life throws at you, you could remain centered? That's the emotional power Stoicism offers. And today I'll walk you through how to make that your daily reality. These aren't abstract ideas, they're simple, actionable practices you can start using right away. Habits that will reshape your emotional foundation, helping you feel more grounded, more confident, and more in control, even in the face of adversity. Ready to build emotional strength that shows up in every area of your life, from your relationships to your work, to the quiet moments no one else sees? Let's dive in to start your day by identifying what you can control. Each day begins the same way. Your mind floods with thoughts, plans, pressures, uncertainties. What needs to get done? What might go wrong? What do you have to fix, manage, or worry about? But pause for a second. How often do you actually stop and ask yourself, what's within my control today? That one question could change your entire day. The Stoics were masters of this principle. They taught that everything in life can be divided into two simple categories: things you can control and things you can't. That's it. You can't control how someone reacts to your words. You can't control whether the train runs late or whether your boss is in a bad mood. You can't even control the weather, or the economy, or the way people treat you. But here's what you can control: how you show up, what you focus on, how you respond to stress, the tone you use in a conversation, the boundaries you set, your attitude, your preparation, your mindset. When we waste time worrying about what's outside our control, we drain our emotional energy, we spiral, we stress, and we lose sight of our true power. But the moment you start your day with intention, by consciously focusing only on what's yours to manage, you reclaim that power. Try this. Tomorrow morning, take 60 seconds to mentally list what's in your control. Maybe it's your effort, your patience, the fact that you'll speak up in that meeting, or pause before reacting when someone challenges you. That mental shift, small as it seems, can instantly bring you back into alignment. Let's say you have a packed schedule, meetings, deadlines, and maybe even difficult conversations. You can't control how people behave in those meetings, but you can control how you prepare, how you breathe before speaking, how you listen, how you carry yourself with calm, even if the room is chaos. This is the heart of Stoic strength, and it begins not with action, but with awareness. So start your day not in reaction mode, but with clarity. Here's what I can control, and that's where I'll place my energy. Directing energy where it truly matters. So as we discussed, when you begin your day by identifying what's within your control, you immediately reclaim your power. You stop spinning in worry over things that aren't yours to fix, and instead you channel your energy into actions that actually move you forward. This simple mental shift, choosing to focus only on what's yours to influence, builds emotional strength day by day. It lifts the weight of powerlessness and frustration from your shoulders. Because here's the truth. You may not be able to control how your boss talks to you, how your partner reacts, or how the world unfolds around you, but you can control how you show up in each of those moments. Whether you stay calm, whether you take a breath before speaking, whether you let it derail your mood, or turn it into an opportunity to grow, that choice is yours. The beauty of Stoic thinking is that it doesn't promise a life without chaos. It offers you the tools to stay grounded within the chaos. As you practice this habit more often, this art of noticing, filtering, and focusing, you'll find it becomes second nature. Before long, you'll no longer feel like life is happening to you. You'll begin to feel like you're actively navigating it with clarity and control. And that's where the emotional strength really starts to build. So tomorrow morning, before the emails flood in, before the noise begins, pause. Ask yourself one question. What do I truly control today? And then focus only on that. You'll be surprised how much peace and confidence that mindset unlocks. Now let's move to the second foundational habit of emotional strength, one that determines the tone of your conversations, your relationships, and even the choices you make in difficult moments. Practice the inner pause. Choose your response. Have you ever said something in anger or frustration and instantly regretted it? Maybe you snapped at someone you care about. Maybe you sent that text or email too quickly. Maybe you made a decision you later wished you could undo. We've all been there. In the heat of the moment, emotions surge, and before we have a chance to think, we react. That immediate reaction, whether it's anger, sadness, defensiveness, or fear, often does more harm than good. But what if you had a moment, just a pause, between feeling and reacting? That's what the inner pause is all about. It's the second Stoic habit for building emotional strength. The ability to create a brief space between the stimulus and your response. This small pause, sometimes just a few seconds, can change everything. It gives you the chance to choose how you respond rather than being swept away by the wave of emotion. The Stoics believed deeply in the power of self-control. They taught that while we can't always prevent emotional reactions from arising, we can always control how we respond to those emotions. Epictetus said it best. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. In other words, your power lies not in avoiding triggers, but in mastering your response. So how do you cultivate this inner pause? It starts with awareness. The next time you feel that familiar rush, whether it's irritation during a meeting, anxiety before a presentation, or frustration in a conversation, don't move immediately. Instead, pause. Count to 5. Take one slow, deep breath, or even excuse yourself from the room for a moment of clarity. This is not about suppressing emotions. It's about acknowledging them without surrendering to them. Let's imagine a quick scenario. You're in a meeting. A colleague makes a passive-aggressive comment that stings. Your first instinct? Snap back. Defend yourself. But what if, just for 5 seconds, you paused, you breathe, you register the emotion, you ask yourself, what response would reflect the person I want to be? Then you speak, not from the heat of emotion, but from a place of clarity. That pause didn't just save you from regret. It gave you power. It reminded you that you are in control, not your frustration. The more often you practice the inner pause, the more emotionally resilient you become. Instead of reacting on impulse, you respond with intention. You gain the respect of others. More importantly, you earn respect for yourself, and that's the real win. So next time a tough moment hits, pause, not to ignore the emotion, but to honor it and still choose how you respond. Create space between emotion and reaction. So the next time you feel your emotions begin to rise, whether it's irritation, anxiety, or frustration, remember habit two. Take a breath, create space, choose your response. That tiny pause is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's a signal that you are no longer reacting blindly. You are responding with intention. This practice, this inner pause, gives you power. It lets you break the automatic loop of emotional reactivity and shift into a more mindful state. Instead of snapping back in anger or blurting out something you might regret, you can ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? Is this about them, or is it about something inside me? What response would reflect the kind of person I want to be? By taking just a few seconds to pause, reflect, and breathe, you buy yourself the opportunity to act, not out of impulse, but out of clarity. Over time, this habit becomes like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. You'll find yourself less shaken by challenges, less reactive in heated conversations, more able to step back, assess the situation, and respond with calm strength, even when emotions are high. What makes this habit so powerful is its simplicity. You don't need a meditation cushion or a special app. You just need a few seconds and the intention to choose your response rather than being ruled by it. Whether it's a rude email, a tense meeting, a tough conversation with a loved one, or even the anxiety that shows up before a big moment, the pause gives you control over your emotional state. And the more often you practice it, the more natural it becomes. Think of it like planting a seed of stillness inside you. With each pause, that seed grows, and soon you'll be navigating life with more poise, less regret, and deeper emotional strength. So the next time a wave of emotion begins to rise, don't fight it. Just pause, breathe, feel, and then choose who you want to be in that moment. But be honest with yourself. Own your truth without shame. While controlling your reactions is crucial, emotional strength also requires something even deeper, the courage to be honest with yourself. This is one of the most difficult, yet most transformative practices of all. Why? Because it asks you to look inward, to confront the parts of yourself that you'd rather ignore, the fears, the regrets, the patterns that keep repeating, the mistakes that still sting. But here's the truth. You cannot grow from what you refuse to see. And that's why the third Stoic habit is this. Be honest with yourself. Own your truth without shame. In life, we're often taught to hide our flaws, to present a perfect version of ourselves, to deny, defend, or deflect when something feels uncomfortable. But the Stoics knew that real wisdom begins when we drop the mask, when we look ourselves in the mirror and say, this is where I am, this is what I've done, and this is who I want to become. Self-honesty is not about judgment or self-criticism. It's about acceptance and responsibility. Think about a time when you finally admitted something to yourself. Maybe it was a toxic relationship you didn't want to leave, a job that no longer aligned with your values, a behavior you kept repeating even though you knew it was holding you back. It hurt to admit it, didn't it? But in that moment of honesty, something shifted. Clarity came, and with it, the power to change. That's the beauty of self-honesty. It hurts, but it heals. It cracks you open, but then it sets you free. Epictetus said, know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. But how can you know who you are if you're unwilling to face your truth? Being honest with yourself means acknowledging your flaws without letting them define you. It means admitting your mistakes without turning them into shame. It means asking, where am I lying to myself? What truth am I avoiding? And what would change if I finally faced it? By owning your truth, you build unshakable self-respect. Because once you stop hiding from yourself, No one else's opinion can control you. So today, be brave enough to look inward. Sit with the discomfort, speak the truth to yourself, and know that in doing so, you're stepping into the most powerful version of who you are. Clarity begins where denial ends. In the previous section, we talked about the courage it takes to be radically honest with yourself. Once you begin that journey, once you stop hiding and start facing your truth, you unlock an incredible kind of power, freedom. And with that freedom comes a space to grow. The Stoics saying, adorn yourself accordingly, isn't about pretending to be something you're not. It's about fully knowing who you are and then living in alignment with that truth. That's real strength. Because once you're honest with yourself, you stop wasting time on blame or denial. You stop pointing fingers at the world and begin asking, what can I do differently? You reclaim ownership of your mindset, your responses, your direction. You stop being a victim and become the author of your own growth. Being honest with yourself doesn't mean beating yourself up. It means seeing both your strengths and your flaws, your potential and your limitations with clear, compassionate eyes. And yes, it can feel vulnerable at first. Facing the full truth of who you are isn't easy, but that truth, it's liberating. Because when you stop pretending, you stop carrying the exhausting emotional weight of denial. You no longer need to wear a mask. You're not constantly trying to prove something you don't really believe. You're just you. And that's more than enough. To build this habit of self-honesty, start small. Set aside just a few quiet minutes each day, maybe in the evening. Ask yourself, where am I holding myself back right now? What uncomfortable truth do I need to admit to myself today? What small change would bring me closer to the person I want to be? These aren't easy questions, but they're powerful ones. And as you ask them regularly, you begin peeling back the layers of defensiveness and self-protection that have blurred your self-perception for so long. Over time, the truth becomes less threatening and more empowering. You begin to feel grounded, clear, more confident in your decisions because they're based on reality, not illusion. So let go of the need to explain, justify, or hide who you are. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You just need to be real. And in that realness lies the deepest kind of emotional strength. Reflect on daily events. Carry a mirror for your life. Now that you're building self-honesty, the next step is to stay connected to it each day. And the best way to do that is through reflection. We live in a world that moves fast. Most of us are constantly jumping from one task, message, or moment to the next. But how often do we truly pause at the end of the day and ask, what did I learn today? Where did I succeed? And where could I do better? That's where emotional growth really happens. The fourth Stoic habit for building emotional strength is simple but powerful. Set time aside to reflect on your day. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, practiced this nightly. In his personal journal, Meditations, he would write about his actions, thoughts, and decisions, not to judge himself, but to understand himself, to grow, to see clearly where he was living in alignment and where he could improve. This kind of reflection is like holding up a mirror. It gives you the rare gift of objective self-awareness. So why is it so powerful? Because we don't usually stop to examine why we do what we do. We react emotionally out of habit or impulse, then move on. But when we reflect, we step back. We create distance between what happened and what we felt, so we can observe ourselves with clarity. Ask yourself, why did that conversation bother me so much? Was I driven by fear, anger, pride? Did I respond with calm and wisdom, or did I let emotion take the wheel? Reflection allows you to spot emotional patterns, to see what triggers you and what grounds you. It helps you reinforce your strengths while gently correcting your weak spots. Think back to the last emotionally intense situation you faced. How did you handle it? Did you speak from clarity or from frustration? Did you breathe and pause or react immediately? What would you do differently next time? These questions don't just make you more self-aware, they make you more resilient. Because the more aware you are of your behavior, the easier it becomes to shift it. So each night, even for just 5 minutes, carry a mirror. Not to criticize yourself, but to see yourself. Sit with a journal, or simply reflect in silence. Ask, what did I do well today? Where did I fall short? And what can I learn from it? This is how emotional mastery is built, not in the big, dramatic breakthroughs, but in small, quiet moments of intentional self-reflection. And when practiced consistently, those moments shape a life of depth, direction, and grounded strength. Reflect to refine, not to criticize. In the last section, we explored how a few quiet moments of self-reflection each day can become a powerful tool for emotional strength. When you create the space to observe yourself clearly, you move from unconscious reaction to conscious intention. So when you think back to your day, did you respond with intention or did you react in impulse? This is the kind of question that transforms your daily experiences into meaningful growth. Let's say you had a disagreement with a colleague. Maybe it left you frustrated or unsettled. Instead of brushing it aside or letting it simmer beneath the surface, stop and ask yourself, did I really listen to them? Was I calm and composed? Or did I let my emotions steer the conversation? What could I have said or done differently? By pausing to reflect, you gain valuable insight, not just into what happened, but into how you showed up. And that's the key. Self-reflection isn't about judging yourself. It's not about shame or guilt. It's about awareness, about seeing clearly so that tomorrow you can show up a little wiser, a little calmer, a little stronger. This daily habit doesn't need to take hours. It could be as simple as 5 quiet minutes before bed. In that stillness, ask yourself, what did I do well today? Where did I struggle? How did I handle my emotions? And what lesson is hidden in today's experience? This simple practice allows you to course correct before negative habits take hold. It helps you enter the next day with a greater sense of clarity, emotional stability, and self-trust. The Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, understood this well. In his private journal, he often wrote reflections on how he had behaved, where he could improve, and how he wanted to face tomorrow. These writings weren't for public admiration, they were for him, to cultivate his character and strengthen his mind. Reflection isn't just for uncovering flaws, it's also for celebrating progress. Maybe you kept your cool in a difficult situation today. Maybe you expressed yourself more clearly in a conversation. Maybe you simply noticed your emotions instead of reacting to them. These small victories deserve recognition. By acknowledging not only where you fall short, but also how far you've come, you build a balanced perspective of yourself. You begin to see yourself not as broken or behind, but as a work in progress, growing stronger each day. So make this a nightly ritual. Spend a few minutes each evening reflecting on your day, not to criticize yourself, but to understand yourself, to learn, to grow, to prepare. Because self-awareness is the foundation of emotional strength. And through this consistent practice, you gain the wisdom and resilience needed to face life with greater purpose and power. Practice daily gratitude. Remember what you already have. Once you've developed the habit of self-reflection, the next step is just as vital. Practicing daily gratitude. Let's be honest. How often do you find yourself thinking about what's missing? That promotion you didn't get, that relationship that hasn't improved, the endless to-do list that never seems to end. In a world that constantly pushes us to chase the next goal, the next achievement, the next level, it's easy to forget to appreciate the here and now. But the Stoics saw this clearly. They believe that real peace doesn't come from getting more. It comes from learning to value what we already have. Gratitude isn't just a warm feeling. It's a mindset. It's a lens through which we see the world and ourselves. When you begin to notice the little things, a roof over your head, a warm meal, a genuine conversation, the fact that you woke up today, you realize how much is already going right. This shift from scarcity to abundance is profound because when you focus on what's missing, you create a sense of lack. But when you focus on what's present, you begin to feel full. And that feeling of fullness, it's what grounds you in emotional strength. Daily gratitude helps reduce anxiety, improves emotional regulation, and enhances your sense of well-being. It turns comparison into contentment. It makes ordinary moments feel extraordinary. So how do you make it a habit? Start small. At the end of each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't need to be big. Maybe it's a peaceful walk, a kind message, a lesson learned, or simply the breath you're taking right now. This practice is a reminder that even on hard days, there is always something worth appreciating. And the more you practice gratitude, the more you'll see it, the more you'll feel it, and the more emotionally resilient you'll become. Not because life got easier, but because your perspective got stronger. Gratitude grounds you in what truly matters. As we explored in the last section, gratitude isn't just about feeling good. It's about seeing clearly. It shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present, from lack to abundance, from stress to steadiness. And most importantly, it trains your mind to appreciate the journey, not just the destination. The Stoics deeply understood this. Seneca, one of the most prominent voices of Stoic philosophy, believed gratitude was not only a virtue, but a foundation for emotional strength. He once wrote, "A good character is not formed in a week or a month. It is created little by little, day by day." And gratitude plays a powerful role in that daily shaping. It's not about waiting for a major breakthrough or a life-changing event to be thankful. It's about appreciating the small, beautiful, often overlooked moments that make up our days. A warm morning sun through the window, a conversation with someone who truly listens, the rhythm of your breath as you sit in stillness, a cup of coffee that feels like a hug from the inside. When we learn to notice these things, truly notice them, we start experiencing life as it is, not as we wish it would be. And that right there is peace. Try this. Take just 3 to 5 minutes each day to reflect on what you're grateful for. It doesn't need to be profound. It just needs to be real. Maybe it's your health, your resilience, the opportunity to start over. Write it down, or say it out loud, or even just pause for a moment and let yourself feel it. This isn't just a feel-good ritual. It's training for your emotional resilience. Because when you build the habit of seeing what's right, you become stronger in the face of what goes wrong. Gratitude, however, isn't passive. It's not about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is okay when it's not. It's an active choice, a decision to focus on what uplifts you even when life feels heavy. And this choice makes all the difference. In the midst of stress, gratitude offers clarity. In the face of fear, it brings perspective. And when everything feels uncertain, it reminds you of what is still solid, still true, still yours. Gratitude also has a ripple effect. When you express it to a friend, a partner, a colleague, you're not just strengthening your own emotional well-being, you're also deepening your connection with others, creating a space of mutual appreciation and support. The next time someone does something kind, pause. Say thank you like you mean it, not out of politeness, but from presence. This small act reinforces a sense of community and reminds you that you're not alone. So tomorrow morning, start your day with a quick gratitude check-in. Name 3 things, big or small, that you're thankful for. Then when challenges come, and they will, revisit that list. Let it remind you of your strength, your blessings, your progress. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, but it anchors you when everything feels like it's shifting. It is a daily practice, a mindset shift. Learn the art of letting go. Accept loss as part of life. Now, as we shift from gratitude to growth, we enter one of the most difficult but most necessary habits for emotional strength, letting go. Because despite our best efforts, life doesn't always go according to plan. We lose things. We lose people. We lose jobs, dreams, opportunities, identities. Sometimes we lose a version of ourselves we thought we'd become. And in those moments, it's easy to feel like the ground has vanished beneath us, like life has taken something and left us with an emptiness too deep to explain. But here's the truth. Loss is not the end. It's a transition, a turning point, a chapter change. The 6th Stoic habit for emotional strength is about learning the art of letting go, not from apathy or avoidance, but from wisdom. The Stoics believe that everything in life is temporary. Our possessions, our roles, our relationships, even our own breath. Marcus Aurelius, in his quiet reflections, once wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." That line may seem cold at first, but in it lies something profound. Loss isn't a punishment. It's part of life's design. When we fight it, we suffer twice. When we fear it, we shrink. But when we accept it, we grow. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or giving up. It means choosing to move forward even when your heart is still heavy. It means making peace with what was so you can step into what's next. Because the truth is, every ending makes space for a beginning. And just like nature sheds its leaves in autumn to prepare for spring, we too must learn to release so we can renew. Letting go is a pathway, not a defeat. In the previous section, we began exploring the powerful practice of letting go, not as a weakness, but as a conscious act of courage. Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about giving yourself permission to move forward. Because life, as the Stoics remind us, is constantly in motion. Nothing is permanent. People, jobs, opportunities, even emotions, all of it shifts and changes. Trying to hold tightly to what's fading is like clenching sand in your palm. The tighter you grip, the more it slips through your fingers. The Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, believe that rather than resist change, we must embrace it with clarity and grace. Letting go doesn't mean that your loss wasn't meaningful. It doesn't mean that your love, your dreams, your hopes didn't matter. It means you honor what was and make space for what can be. Because clinging to what no longer serves you, whether it's an outdated belief, a painful memory, or a closed chapter, only traps you in the past. Ask yourself, what am I still holding on to that is silently draining my energy? Is it a regret, a resentment, a relationship that no longer aligns with who I am? We often hold on because of fear of emptiness, of uncertainty, of not knowing what's next. But letting go is not about becoming empty. It's about clearing space so that something better, something truer can enter. Imagine standing in a room full of clutter, objects from the past stacked on every surface. There's no room to breathe, to stretch, to move. Now picture yourself slowly clearing it. Each item you release makes space. Each release feels lighter. That's what emotional letting go feels like. Whether it's releasing resentment after a breakup, letting go of perfection after a job rejection, or finally accepting that you can't change what happened years ago. Every time you let go, you loosen the grip of pain and regain your power. Letting go also means releasing the need for control, accepting that not everything is yours to fix, manage, or predict. And in that surrender, you find peace. You also let go of the need for validation from people, titles, likes, or outcomes. So often we tie our worth to how others see us or what we've achieved. But real emotional strength begins when you stop needing approval and start honoring your inherent value. The Stoics taught us that by letting go of ego, fear, attachment, we make room for clarity, resilience, and growth. We create emotional space for something new. So today, take one step. Let go of one small thing that no longer serves you. Maybe it's a thought, a grudge, a belief, a habit. Release it gently and trust that life will fill that space with something you didn't even know you needed. Set clear priorities. Know what truly matters. Once you've made space by letting go, the next essential habit is knowing how to fill that space wisely, with purpose, direction, and clarity. Have you ever reached the end of a busy day and wondered, what did I actually do today that mattered? It's a frustrating feeling. You've been moving, responding, reacting, but not progressing. That's why the seventh habit for emotional strength is this: set clear priorities. Know what truly matters. In today's fast-paced world, it's dangerously easy to spend your time on what's urgent rather than what's important. You respond to emails, you say yes to every request, you scroll, you juggle a dozen things, only to realize that none of them are getting you closer to the life you actually want to live. The Stoics were deeply aware of this trap. They believed that a wise person doesn't just do, they choose where to direct their energy with intention. So the question is, what do you value most? What kind of life are you trying to build? And are your daily actions aligned with that vision? When you don't set your own priorities, someone else will do it for you. Maybe it's your boss. Maybe it's society. Maybe it's your own habits or distractions pulling you in every direction, but forward. But emotional strength means taking ownership of your time, your energy, your focus. It means saying no to what's irrelevant, even if it's tempting, and saying yes to what truly matters, even when it's hard. Setting priorities isn't about rigid discipline. It's about clarity. It's about asking yourself each morning, what are the three most meaningful things I can do today? And then doing them with focus and intention. So if you've been feeling scattered or emotionally drained, ask yourself, am I spending my time on what truly matters? Or am I letting noise dictate my direction? The Stoics remind us that our days are numbered and that we must treat our time like the precious resource it is. So begin today, set your priorities, guard your energy, and choose a path that leads to depth, not distraction. Let your priorities guide you through the noise. In the last habit, we explored how setting clear priorities can help us reclaim our time and energy. When you know what truly matters, you no longer feel pulled in 100 directions. Instead, you move with purpose. The Stoics were masters of this discipline, of cutting through distraction and zeroing in on what actually moves life forward. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's wisest voices, reflected often on this very idea. He once said, if you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. That statement is more than philosophy. It's a reminder that the quality of our lives depends on what we focus on what we choose to prioritize. Every day, life presents us with choices. What do you give your time to? What deserves your energy? And most importantly, what doesn't? Setting clear priorities means stepping back and asking, what is truly worth my attention today? What will I never regret giving my energy to? These are the questions that filter out the noise. They help you cut through the urgency of daily life and focus on the things that actually matter. The things that bring meaning, not just motion. Because here's the truth. You can't do everything, but you can choose what to do well. Think about your own schedule lately. Are you constantly busy, yet feel like you're not really moving forward? We often get caught up in what feels urgent, replying to emails, checking notifications, attending meetings, solving short-term problems. But these tasks rarely move us closer to the life we actually want. And that's where the danger lies. When we give too much of ourselves to things that don't matter, we end up depleted mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. But when we choose consciously, when we focus on what does matter, everything changes. You begin to say no without guilt, say yes with intention, create space for progress and peace. You're no longer reacting, you're responding. You're no longer running, you're moving with direction, and that shift from chaos to clarity is what emotional strength is all about. Let's be clear. Setting priorities doesn't mean being rigid or robotic. It means being intentional. It means knowing which actions are aligned with your core values and letting go of those that aren't. Imagine standing in front of two paths. One is filled with noise, distraction, urgency. The other is quieter, slower, but leads directly toward your goals. Which one will you choose? The Stoics remind us that true wisdom is about choosing less but better. They understood that success doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing the right things with presence and purpose. So today, pause for a moment and define your top 3 priorities. What actions align with your purpose? What will bring you the deepest fulfillment? Priorities keep you grounded. Detachment keeps you centered. Once you've defined your priorities and committed to what matters most, the next challenge is staying emotionally balanced when life pulls you in every direction. This brings us to a crucial habit for emotional strength: mental detachment. Because let's be honest, no matter how clear your intentions are, the world doesn't stop spinning. Distractions, negativity, and unexpected chaos will still swirl around you. So how do you stay focused without being consumed? Practice mental detachment. Stay present without getting overwhelmed. Mental detachment doesn't mean apathy. It doesn't mean shutting down or ignoring your emotions. Instead, it means creating a healthy emotional boundary, a space between what's happening around you and how you choose to respond within. It's about being engaged in life without being entangled in every single reaction. Think of it like standing at the edge of the ocean. You feel the pull of the tide, the wind, the roar of the waves, but you remain steady on your feet. That's the essence of detachment. You observe, you experience, but you're not swept away. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic minds, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You can't control how people speak to you. You can't control the news, the traffic, or other people's judgments. But you can control whether those things ruin your day, disrupt your peace, or shake your sense of self. Let's consider a real-life scenario. Imagine someone criticizes your work in a meeting. Do you instantly internalize it and spiral into self-doubt? Or can you pause, assess the comment objectively, and decide whether it offers something useful or not? Mental detachment gives you that space. It lets you respond with calm and clarity instead of reacting with frustration, anger, or anxiety. Here's a practical way to develop this habit. Start by simply recognizing what is within your control and what isn't. You can't control someone's opinion of you. You can't control the outcome of every situation. But you can control your thoughts, your focus, and your behavior. When you let go of the need to control everything, you also let go of the emotional weight that comes with it: stress, fear, guilt, and pressure. You also start to build emotional boundaries. For instance, if someone offers harsh feedback or projects their expectations onto you, mental detachment helps you hear them without letting their words define your identity. You can acknowledge what's said, extract what's useful, and leave the rest behind. It's not about being cold, it's about being clear. This practice becomes even more important when you're constantly exposed to opinions, comparisons, and external demands, especially in the digital age. Without mental detachment, you'll find yourself pulled in every direction by notifications, trends, and unrealistic expectations. But when you detach, you stay anchored. You remain present, not as a passive observer, but as an active, focused participant in your own life. You learn to care deeply without caring everything. So how do you begin practicing mental detachment? Start small. The next time you feel a strong emotional pull, criticism, disappointment, stress, pause and ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, take a breath and let it go. This small mental habit builds resilience over time. You train yourself not to react to every impulse. You reclaim your peace one moment at a time, because emotional strength doesn't come from trying to control the chaos. It comes from mastering your inner stillness, no matter what swirls around you. With focus comes fulfillment. Your purpose anchors the day. Now that we've learned how mental detachment gives us clarity and control over our emotions, it's time to explore the final and perhaps most empowering habit: setting a daily purpose. Because even with all the tools to navigate life calmly and wisely, what truly gives your day meaning is intention. Without it, we drift, reacting instead of directing, existing instead of living. Set a daily purpose. Ask yourself, what is my why for today? Every morning we receive a silent gift, a fresh stretch of time, a brand new day full of opportunity. But how often do we rise, jump into routine, and let the hours slip by under the weight of emails, notifications, and obligations? We check things off our to-do lists, yet feel oddly disconnected or unsatisfied by day's end. Why? Because without intention, we're not guiding our day, we're just reacting to it. Setting a daily purpose changes that. It gives direction to your actions and meaning to your effort. It transforms a regular day into a day of progress, no matter how small the win. And here's the beauty. This doesn't have to be overwhelming or complex. Your purpose for the day can be one simple intention. Maybe it's, I will be patient with myself today. I will complete that task I've been avoiding. I will reach out to someone who matters. That one small focus can bring incredible clarity. It becomes a compass that guides your energy and attention away from distractions and towards something that genuinely matters to you. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditations, reminded himself each morning of how he wanted to live, with virtue, clarity, and intention. He wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When you set a daily purpose, you shape your thoughts before the world does. You take ownership of your mindset, your focus, and your emotional energy. And when life gets noisy, when things go wrong or pressure builds, your purpose becomes an anchor. It helps you navigate through stress, interruptions, and setbacks without losing your center." Let's look at an example. Say your daily purpose is stay grounded and present during meetings. Throughout the day, even when distractions arise, you'll be more aware of your focus. You'll catch yourself drifting and gently return to your purpose. That small awareness, it changes everything. And by the end of the day, when you've honored that intention, even partially, you feel something powerful. Completion, not perfection, not productivity overload, just meaningful progress. That's how emotional strength is built, step by intentional step. So tomorrow morning, before the whirlwind of notifications and schedules pulls you in, pause. Take a quiet breath and ask, what will make today meaningful? Where do I want to grow? What single purpose can guide my actions? Then carry that purpose with you, not as pressure, but as a quiet guide. It could be as small as offering kindness to a stranger, or as deep as standing firm in your boundaries. What matters is that it matters to you. Setting a daily purpose aligns your energy with your values. It makes your time intentional and your actions reflective of who you want to become. And over time, this one habit becomes a foundation, not just for emotional resilience, but for a purposeful life. Final reflection: strength is built, not born. Now that we've explored the power of setting a daily purpose, let's take a moment to step back and look at the full picture, the bigger message behind all 10 habits. Because here's the truth: emotional strength isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, habit by habit, choice by choice, day by day. It's not about eliminating hardship or pretending life is always smooth. It's about mastering your internal world, even when your external world feels uncertain or overwhelming. These 10 habits we've covered, starting from identifying what's within your control, to pausing before reacting, to practicing gratitude and setting clear priorities, aren't just self-help tips. They're powerful tools for transformation. They're anchors in the storm. They are your guideposts to emotional clarity, calm, and confidence. The Stoics knew that strength comes not from resistance, but from resilience. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus didn't preach about escaping discomfort. They taught us how to move through it with wisdom and grace. They reminded us that every challenge is a training ground for the soul. When you live by these habits, you stop reacting out of impulse and start responding with thoughtfulness. You move from chaos to clarity. You replace anxiety with awareness. You swap emotional exhaustion for grounded energy. And the beauty is, you don't need to master all 10 habits at once. Start small. Start today. Choose one habit, just one. Maybe it's pausing before reacting. Maybe it's practicing gratitude before you sleep. Or simply asking yourself each morning, what is my purpose for today? That one choice done consistently creates a ripple effect. With time, it becomes part of your identity, shaping not just how you feel, but how you live, lead, and love. Because emotional strength isn't about becoming untouchable or unfeeling. It's about becoming grounded, present, and intentional, especially when life gets hard. So here's your challenge. Pick one habit, commit to it for the next 7 days. Write it down, practice it, reflect on how it impacts your thoughts, your energy, your emotions. You'll be surprised at how quickly small efforts compound into lasting inner power. And as you move forward, remember this: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Thank you for being here with me today. If this episode brought you value, insight, or even just a moment of clarity, do me a favor. Like the video, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe to the channel so we can keep growing together. Let's keep showing up for ourselves, for our growth, and for the emotional strength we're all capable of cultivating. Until next time, stay grounded, stay resilient, and never stop growing.